Welcome to Sweat to Inspire. I'm Todd Block, and this video log is being created to help adults be more intentional with their actions to inspire the youth of tomorrow. I hope you enjoy this episode and every episode to come. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, we're going to start today's episode with something every adult should do is share what we're reading with our youth and talking about the books we're reading. So I'm going to talk about It's Like Riding a Bike by David Schmidt-Too. It is a great book for educators talking about making learning last and leading to lifetime learning. So I highly recommend Like Riding a Bike by a good friend of mine, David Schmidt-Too. And it is really a short read. It's easy read. I'm actually rereading it to remind myself of how to make learning happen for my students so that it's like riding a bike. You know, once you learn how to ride a bike, you don't forget, unless you're my 13-year-old who still doesn't like riding his bike that much. But it is important for us to continually talk about what you're reading. So please, in the comments, add book titles. And if you're an author and you'd like me to share your book, send me a digital copy or a link to a book, and I gladly share it and read it when I read it. So I'd love to share all the great books out there. There are tons and tons of great books out there that we should be talking about. We should definitely be talking about. I'll try to get some that I read to my students on here as well, because as a science teacher, I do occasionally do read alouds for my students, and it's good to talk about what we're reading. Okay, for this first episode, I do want to talk about a behavior concern that us adults do that is really transitioning to our children, and we need to be concerned about it. And it's probably because we don't know how to use these. This device, we call it a cell phone, but it's really just like a walking computer that we use for so much because there's all these apps. The number one reason why anybody has one of these is to be in touch with people. So we have a phone. Most people use them for their landlines now. So it's a multi-purpose device, but there's so much more. And I see it with my wife and my kids. I have 3 kids. They all have cell phones. It's a distraction. And it's a time filler. It's when I'm bored, I'm going to look at this, even if I'm watching something else, even if I'm doing something else. And I think it's adult behavior that's been passed on to children that whenever we don't care about what's going on, we can take it out. We can play with whatever's on here. We can walk around listening to ear music with our earbuds in. And we need to sort of change that. We need to pass the message that when we're somewhere where we need to be attentive, this needs to be put away, maybe not even be there. I see as a classroom teacher too often that students think that, hey, I don't need to pay it. I'm paying attention to you, but I'm also checking my text messages, my Instagram, my Snap. And where'd they get that? They learned it from us adults. I know that in my home, I'm being more conscientious, not having it at the dinner table so that we have a good conversation and sit down and talk with our kids. I'm making sure that I don't have it out when I'm driving. It sits on the charger in the middle in my cup holder, and it's not something I take out. I shouldn't take it out when I'm in the company of other people. And I definitely shouldn't let it dictate whether or not my conversation is going to continue, because we want to be present and we want to be there. We need to teach our children how to be responsible with this tool. Yes, it's a great tool that if you have nothing else to do, it can fill time. I mean, honestly, my whole house that when I was a kid fits in here because you have books, you have videos, you have everything. But it's awesome. It's an incredible, powerful tool of technology that obviously they will probably sometimes need in the classroom. They'll need it for research. If we need to use Google, look something up for spelling help. I was the world's worst speller. My dad always threw a dictionary at me and said, "Hey, look it up." And oh my God, that was a stressor for me. It can help us with that spelling thing, understanding concepts. And doing math. There's a calculator in here. We'll always have a calculator with you if you need it. But there's also distractions. We need to teach our children to turn off notifications. So we're not distracted by things we don't need. We can look at them at lunch, at passing, at the end of the day. We also need to remember that part of this is we can't think that we can always get a hold of our children. Obviously, we want them to have it for safety reasons. We want them always to have it on them, but we shouldn't be texting them when we know that they're in class and they should be learning. No, really, no. Even if it's just texting to tell them that we're going to pick them up at the end of the day, you can send that to them when you know, schedule it for when you know the end of the day is coming. So school gets out, our school gets out at 3:10, send them the text at 3:10 so that they know to look at their phone as they're walking out. We don't want it to be something that they're constantly being pulled to and turning their notifications off, asking them to put it on airplane mode when they're during the school day. Those are appropriate measures because we know that this can be such a distraction. It is also important to us as adults to monitor our usage and then also monitor our kids' usage, looking at how they're using it during the day and making sure that they're using it appropriately and not just watching a Netflix in the middle of class. Because students are going to be responsible ultimately for their own learning. And this, although is an incredible, powerful tool that you can use for learning, typically isn't, even by us adults. I've had an adult ask me a question about spelling something while holding their cell phone in their hand. And it's like, I'm a horrible speller. It's right there on your phone. But so let's make sure we're modeling how to use these appropriately and setting expectations for our children so that they know why we're paying the bill for them to have it. So I can get a hold of you after school so that you can read books in your free time if you're giving them Amazon and they have Kindle on here, so they can look things up when they need to do research, so they can play those cool fun games like Kahoot when they're learning in school. But we're not giving it to them so they can Snapchat their friends in class or look at TikTok videos while they should be learning. So let's focus that conversation. And that's an important one we have with our children today. And let's also model that so that our students know that our phone isn't so important that we're watching stuff all the time in the car or stopping a conversation with them so we can be interrupted by our phone. So remember that today. And that's what to inspire this week. We're going to focus on having those powerful conversations about how to use technology appropriately with our students. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully we'll be here weekly for me talking for about 6-7 minutes with a book recommendation. I also want to remind you that I can be wrong. If you have concerns, please leave a comment and we can have a conversation. Contact me on Twitter, which will be up here at the end credits, or make a comment on my blog. I'd love to have conversations about education. I'm sharing my personal opinion based on 21 years of experience as a teacher and as a parent of three, a 17-year-old and two 13-year-olds. What I'm seeing is important so that we can change our behaviors. I'm learning as I go. I'm making changes. That's what educated people do. We adapt and evolve based on more knowledge. So if you want to drop more knowledge to me, please, I appreciate anything you can give me. And thank you for watching. Have a great day. And thank you for tuning in. This was recorded on a very important day in history. It's the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and we'll leave with him. So thank you and have a great day.